Hey y'all, welcome to the Suburban Stitcher podcast. My name is Diane and today is January 6th, 2019. Happy New Year. I am so excited to be spending some time with you this week. I am doing one of my personal / business resolutions, and I am starting the year off with really focusing on a regular podcast schedule. I definitely enjoy engaging with you all every week or two or whenever it is, and sometimes I know that I put off podcasting because I think to myself, well, I don't have enough content, or I don't have time, or I don't have enough to talk about, and maybe that's the case some weeks, but that doesn't mean that I can't show you my little bit that I did do and then just chat for a minute and just keep checking in. I feel like it's sort of like an exercise routine. When you are doing it and you are continuing to engage in that activity, then you see results. And I'm not looking for results necessarily from the podcast, but it's just more of a mindfulness to myself, because it is easy to find myself being too busy and not participating in this show, this community that we've created that I absolutely love and enjoy. So I do want to start. This is episode 159, first one of 2019. Thank you so much to everyone who has watched last week's episode where I talked about my Make 9 for 2019. I did find out, I will be happy to report that the dress that I spoke about last week that I could not remember, that I knew was the reversible dress with pockets, is called the Metamorphic. Metamorphic or Metamorphosis? I think Metamorphic. Now I can't remember, but I will put that right down here, and the pattern designer, I will put that here. I do have plans to make at least one of those dresses in 2019. I have several shows and events that are starting up in March where I am going to be in front of you all. And I have some sweaters that I'm finishing and some pretty shawls and samples that are being done. And I cannot wait to make some handmade beautiful things to wear as part of my wardrobe, along with my Suburban Stitcher knitted items when I'm out and about with you guys. So I just feel like that is a really fun and exciting idea. So I'm excited for this year of making. The announcements that I have for this week are I went ahead and closed the 2018 Get Suburban thread, which is a year-long knit-along that I started last year. The purpose of the knit-along is to show off any project that you are knitting out of Suburban Stitcher yarn. And last year we had a few people that participated. It wasn't a lot, but I have only been dyeing yarn for a couple of years. So now I'm hoping that with year 2, we'll get some more participants. I've done something that I hope streamlines this knit along, and there is no longer a chatter and a finished objects thread. It's just one thread. You get entries, quote unquote, for chatting along, for encouraging other people, as well as for showing off your knitting and your finished objects. So even if you're just knitting with something but don't finish it, go ahead and chat along. And with having everything in one thread, just every time I podcast or every time I remember, which hopefully, again, mindfulness, doing something every week and making it a habit, I will be pulling a winner out of that thread. And so I will just random number generator, however many number of posts, and the more you participate, the more that everyone participates, the more likely you are to win a prize. And my original intention for this knit along, which I'm happy to say I've been able to continue, is that I will be giving away patterns and highlighting pattern designers as part of this knit along. So I have closed out the 2018 thread, and I have pulled one last winner from the finished objects thread from 2018. That post is number 6, Jamie Black. She knit a Jody shawl out of my Tandoori yarn set. And Jamie Black, you are going to win a copy of the Montana Sky Shawl, which is a beautiful shawl knit out of some hand-dyed yarn. It's designed by Natalie of Knitty Natty Designs. She is an up-and-coming designer. She is just the most vibrant and fun and beautiful knitters. She has started a podcast. She has a YouTube channel. I will enter all of that down here, and I'm quite certain that if you search for Knitty with a K, K-N-I-T-T-Y, Natty, N-A-T-T-Y, like Natalie, she did Vlogmas, and then she thought, I really like this thing, and started a podcast for the new year. So I've watched her first episode. I watched several of her Vlogmases. I really, really enjoy her aesthetic. As a side note, because I know she watches this, and maybe I've told her this or maybe I haven't, but last year at DFW Fiberfest, I was in the booth working with several of my friends, with Susie, Prairie Girl Susie, and I can't remember who else might have been in that booth at the time. But we were working and talking with people about yarn, and I remember this beautiful young woman walking in, and she had the most gorgeous, like hot pink boxy sweater on. And I was wowed. First of all, Natalie reminds me so much of my cousin. Their look, they're both just beautiful girls, similar hair color, similar facial features, and the way that they tell stories and interact are just so very similar. And they both seem like the kind of person that everyone wants to be friends with. And she walked in with that pink boxy, and I just remember her so vividly as such like a point in time of my DFW experience, which as a first-time vendor, solo vendor, was a blur. But I remember that so clearly. And then I saw her again somewhere else, and I think maybe at SSK I saw her last summer. And then we've started interacting online, and she's purchased some yarn from me. She's knitting a is it Canyon sweater by Knitty McPurley. So there's just been so many times where we've interacted, and I just remember her and her gorgeous pink boxy. And so I really encourage you to go watch her podcast. Anyway, she has designed a gorgeous shawl called the Montana Sky Shawl. Jamie Black on Ravelry is going to win a copy of that shawl. So thank you all so much. I hope that what that whole interaction and maybe crazy story demonstrates to you is that our community is amazing. And when you get involved, and if you are able to go to shows or interact on Ravelry, all of our paths are going to cross, and we're going to have amazing interactions and relationships because of it. So, so congratulations to both ladies. And definitely, if you are not Jamie Black and did not win the copy of the shawl, you're going to want to go take a look at it, because it is so beautiful, so kind of like one of those simple things that a beginning knitter or a advanced knitter that just needs something like fun and engaging, but not too like brainy. Like it's amazing, and shows off hand-dyed yarn beautifully. Okay, so that with all of that to say, we've ended 2018, Get Suburban Knit Along. We're starting the 2019 kind of all-inclusive thread. So as of right now, go ahead and start your projects, start entering into the thread for 2019, chatting, encouraging each other. Like I said, if you're just knitting with some Suburban Stitcher yarn and want to show it off, then that's the place to do it, and you might win a pattern prize. Second piece of business is sort of, well, it's not sort of knit along related, it's totally knit along related, and that is, remember that little thing called the Rainbow Along? I didn't do that last year, and I just had someone message me the other day. I had no intentions of doing it this year. I thought, you know, that's fine. We don't, you know, it's been a year and no one really asked about it last year, and it was fine. We all survived. It was fine. And then someone messaged me and said, hey, I've got some things I'd like to donate for prizes. Are you doing it? And I told her no. I said, no, I don't think so. And then I got to thinking about it. Why are we not doing this? Sorry if I just hit that. Why are we not rainbowing along? So should we? I mean, I feel like we should, right? I even am wearing, and if I was like super flexible, I could, oh, there we go. I'm even wearing my rainbow socks that I knit a couple of years ago for a rainbow along. These are Desert Vista Dye Works. It was an exclusive colorway that was for one of her like year-long knit-alongs that I completed, and this was the winning the winning skein. Oh my gosh, I'm so unflexible. I don't want to freeze frame of whatever face I was making when I just put my foot up there. Anyway, so let me know down in the box below, comments, or I will try to remember to start a Ravelry thread for this episode. Let me know if you're interested in the rainbow along. It usually runs the entire month of February. Whips are always allowed because it's me. So let me know if you want to do it. I have at least one person that probably could donate a prize because she already contacted me. But if there's anyone else out there that's interested, please let me know. And if you're new to the podcast and you're not sure what the rainbow along is, it is a knit along that I started back in 2014, I believe, that celebrates all things yarn and project related that you can relate to a rainbow. So if it's yarn or project that has you knit rainbow, or if you create a rainbow in a project, whatever it is, then that's the rainbow along. So just let me know what you want to do. Okay, I think that's it for announcements. Normally we would run right into finished objects, and I have 0. So we're going to move right into works in progress, which there's not a whole lot to talk about there. This is why normally I would say, maybe I just don't podcast because I can't really show anything. We're going to do it anyway. It's been 12 minutes of talking, almost 13, and I've shown no knitting. So, except for y'all's beautiful knitting. But we're going to go ahead and show my works in progress. The first of which is a test knit that I really can't show you. But I am using my predictability colorway. So this is this gorgeous mauve, pinky purple that is my absolute favorite dusty, scummy, dirty pink of all time. And I love it. What I do want to show you, I'm going to try to come up from the bottom so I'm not showing too much. That's how it knits up. I am alternating skeins. So that's how it's knitting up. I don't want to show you too much because we really were specifically told that we don't want to share too much. So I'm not going to share anything else other than this is what predictability knits up like. I am knitting it out of my sock base, which is my 75/25 superwash merino nylon, and I'm absolutely loving it. So that's all I'll say about that. I've done quite a bit of progress. I am getting close to like finishing a step in this project, and then the next thing that I get to do is going to be much more exciting and have lots more things. So that's really exciting because like when you get to like do more things in your knitting and like a little more, just more things, let's say that. I get to do more things. It's going to be a little more engaging, and that is exciting. I've been keeping that in my Christmas holiday fringe supply bag that I absolutely love, and yeah, totally love it. The other project, the only other thing that I worked on outside of a purse sock that I don't have here to show you, is I've been working on my Plumpy Shawl. And like I told you, whoa, did you see the light change? The sun just went behind a cloud. That was crazy. I have been working on my Plumpy Shawl, which I have been reserving as sort of a carrot project. And when I say that, I mean like, wow, whoa, the light is just like, sun, no sun, clouds. Okay, don't get distracted, Diane. It's a carrot project, meaning basically what it's doing is when I finish a thing on my test knit and it's like, okay, I've like completed a big section or whatever, then I get to go put a little bit of time on this Plumpy Shawl. And it's so fun because they're so different. And so that makes it really great. So this is Plumpy by Andrea Mowry. And it's so wild and crazy. And I could not be more in love with it. It's so funny, like how different every shawl of these look. How they all look so different. And on the screen, it actually, the colors, I feel like in real life, the colors are not quite as contrasting. Maybe they are, and maybe I'm just fooling myself, but anyway, so this is what I've knit so far. I think last week when I showed it to you, I had done a little bit into the brioche, and then I talked about how I needed to pull some back because I had made a mistake, and I did that, and I had made a mistake, and so I ripped back to the garter stitch, re-knit the brioche, got that all done, and then I did the whole next section, which was just garter stitch. The yarn that I'm using is Hedgehog Fibers in the Merino DK, and this color is Gossip. This is also Hedgehog Fibers in Rose Hip. And my pop of color, which is kind of funny because it's not a pop, it's more like it's the one that's sort of muting it out a little bit, or attempting to do so. This green is Woolen Boon in the Accidentally in Love colorway. It's very much like a scummy green, scummy yellowy brownish green with orange and blue speckles, but the blue speckles sort of turn green on here. So yeah, it's an interesting colorway for sure, which I can see why she titled it Accidentally in Love. Yeah, so this is Plumpy. I'm absolutely loving it. I think it's going to be nice and big and squishy when it's all done. And it's a fun technique. It's very much like Find Your Fade, where you're changing things all the time. You don't really ever get bored because you're always looking to the next fade or the next section or the next thing. And so that's kind of where I am right now. I have done everything that I can do out of this rose hip color before I have to start adding in the next section of this Accidentally in Love again. You can see I've done my prep row for the brioche right there. So those are really my only two active works in progress, which is great because it means that I'm getting a lot done on them. It's amazing how that works. Oh, and this one is in my, it's a bag by Minnie Moon. Minnie like Minnie Mouse. Moon like the moon. Minnie Moon Sewing on Etsy. So it's fringe-esque. This leather strap is about twice as thick as the fringe bags, and the canvas is not quite as thick, so it is definitely different, but very nice. And I enjoy it quite a lot. So that's it for knitting. I mean, that feels kind of boring. I will say, I talked about my socks that I'm wearing. I am wearing a little bandana shawlette. It is the Age of Brass and Steam pattern, and this is, I think, the only finished project that I have out of any hand spun that I ever spun, which is kind of exciting. And it's totally my colors. It's pink and purple. It was, oh, I cannot remember the dyer. They're out of business now. 2F by hand fiber. Don't remember the colorway, but Obviously it was just my colors and I love it. And I have very little hand spun because I've just decided I'm not a spinner. That's totally fine. So I don't have a lot of hand spun and I don't have a lot of finished objects with it. So this one's extra special. Okay, so this week in Hello Lovelies, I actually have no knitting things to talk about, but Hello Lovelies was originally designed to, yes, show off lovely things that have come into my house, but sometimes it's an experience or something that's not knitting related. And this time it is an old but new thing in my house that is definitely not knitting related, but it's making me very happy. And I've put it on Instagram, and that is my dresser. That's an old dresser that's been in my family for 50 or 60 years. I think it was my dad's when he was growing up. And I have repainted it once before, and now I have recently painted it white, and it's my new finished objects dresser in one of my hallways in my house. And it's so clean and quiet and pretty, and I absolutely love it. So that is sort of my mantra going forward into this year, is finding things that you can reuse and purpose into what you want it or need it to be right now, and not necessarily having to go buy new things all the time, which I think is something that we're all trying to do. And certainly as we get older, we realize the value of just using what you have and making do with what you have and being kind of happy where you are. This was definitely a situation where I have this dresser. It's not perfect, but it's free and it's in perfect condition, and I can paint it and make it work and be exactly what I need it to be. So that's what I did, and I love it. So that is my Hello Lovely for this week. And I am going to do, again, intentions, setting good intentions, making good habits. I am going to try every week to have one thing that is a Hello Lovely that is not something you have to buy. Like I said, maybe it will just be an experience. Maybe it'll be something that I've done recently that I share with you, or something that's not knitting related that I, have that's new in my home. So I hope that that encourages some of you and that you can resonate with that idea as well. The last little bit is shop news. I have had several people order sweater quantities of Happy Accident, which that's a little bit better color than last week. This is Happy Accident. As you can see, I have not wound mine up yet for my party top, which is one of my Make 9s. I have been so into those two knitting projects that I haven't even wanted to distract myself with knitting this. Yes, that test knit is on a bit of a deadline, so there is that. But I know that I'm going to love knitting this, and I'm loving what I'm knitting now. And I know that if I introduce even one more thing into the mix, then something's gonna lose momentum and not get finished. And I just don't want to do that right now. So I'm not. And this will get cast on probably in a week or two, because I'll finish one of these other things. But yeah. But all of that to say, shop news, thank you for ordering sweater quantities of Happy Accident and Predictability. I've had, gosh, maybe 10 of you have sweaters obviously in mind with these two, or one of these two colors. I do take custom orders. I can do them on any base that I offer. I have had to recently let people know that some of the colors they're requesting for custom orders are either no longer ones that I dye, or they were one of a kinds that cannot be repeated. And I hate to do that, but that's just part of the thing. A good rule of thumb is if you go to my website, there is a link at the top that says colorways, and it gives you a photo album of some of my more common colorways that are repeatable. I am constantly working on adding pictures into there so that it is reflective of my current special order colorways that I can do at the moment. If it is one that you think that you've seen a lot of and it's not listed there, just message me or put in the request. And the worst case scenario I say is, no, I can't do that one again, or no, that was exclusive. There aren't a lot of those, but there are. Or sometimes it was like, yeah, I would love to be able to do that again, but it was so hard to get the first time, like I just can't repeat it. So, and I'll let you know. But for the most part, everything I dye can be repeated for the most part. And the things that have been very popular lately are Predictability, this Happy Accident, and Moody Blues, which is a favorite, which is a navy kind of with a teal tonal. Also in shop news, I am getting so much help knitting samples. I'm so excited. I was just texting with a friend who's knitting something this morning. I saw a sneak peek a day or two ago of a sweater that's being knit as a sample for me. I was supposed to send this off yesterday. I totally didn't. Heather, I promise it's coming tomorrow. This yarn package, there's some mohair behind this, but this is going out to a friend to knit a fun pattern. And I'm just excited about all the things that are happening right now. Another exciting thing is that I have a yarn club that is new for 2019 that is starting. I'm going to put the listing up tomorrow. It is called the Park Passport Yarn Club. And this is something that I've had brewing. My husband and I have been thinking about it actually for a little while, and I'm finally launching it. I was going to launch it at the end of December, and then there was the government shutdown, and it really like took the wind out of my sails with this project, because we've had government shutdowns before. We always come out of them. This one is a bit longer, and without getting political, national parks are always affected with government shutdowns, and I just wasn't sure how to proceed. But national parks are national parks, and they are so important to me and to our family. They're something that we love as a family pastime growing up, as well as my husband and our kids, and it's a tradition that we are continuing. And yeah, so the reason it's called Park Passport is because it's not really just national parks. For those of you who are super national park system nerds like I am, know that there is a thing called a Park Passport, and you go to, gosh, I think it's over 450 locations, and you get what are called cancellation stamps. And I should have brought mine here. I didn't. But you go and you get cancellation stamps to all these places that you visit. And so it's a physical reminder. It's just like a passport stamp, cancellation stamp, or like they used to be before everything was digital. But it is a cancellation stamp, you know, with the name and the date of all of the places that you go that are part of the national park system. And we love getting those stamps, or maybe I just love getting the stamps and I drag my family along with me. I'm not super certain of the distinction between the two, but I know that at least me loves getting them. And because I love getting them, it's taking my family on lots of experiences. So what I'm intending to relay to you is that the park series every month will have a new location that is the theme for that month. Sometimes it will be directly like my interpretation of an actual building or park or whatever, because the stamps, because there's over 450 of them, the stamp isn't necessarily, you know, Grand Canyon National Park. Sometimes it's the Washington Monument, or the birthplace of a president, or a battlefield, or, you know, it's all sorts of, or wildlife preserve area. There's all sorts of things that are on that Park Passport cancellation book series. And I thought, yes, we all love the parks, but there are so many other amazing locations and things, again, that have been important to me, important to our family, that we either have seen or we have solid plans to go see soon. Hopefully. So I'm so excited to interpret my interpretation of some of those places. This first one, because if we're being honest, national parks could be a whole big line of yarns that are all green, blue, yellow, and brown. Because there's lots of brown, there's lots of green and blue with waters and trees and land and grasses and lakes and, I mean, lots of green and blue. And brown for dirt and hills and canyons and all the things. Those are not my 3 favorite colors, and I feel like sometimes there's just more to interpret. So I will always try to include my inspiration for whatever that month is. I will always tell you the theme because it's always going to be something meaningful to me. We are starting with the place that took my heart as far as national parks and national park system. And the first month, January, will be the Rocky Mountain National Park. It is the first park memories that I have really distinct memories of going to as a child. And it may not have been my first one. I'm sure that I will get a text from my mom at some point going, well, you know, you actually went to this one first. And that's fine. But that's the place that made me a national park lover and made me eventually come over to the idea of loving hiking and loving exploring and being in the outdoors and mostly utilizing these free resources and being in the beautiful nature all over the country that we have access to, or did have access to. But again, I'm trying not to go there. So the first one that is going up Monday, what is tomorrow? The 7th. Monday, January 7th is Rocky Mountain National Park. I'm going to include a picture that to me sort of sums up most of my personal experiences of this park. And it is a picture of my family, and I'll put it in here. It's a picture of my family, my husband and me and my 2 boys. And we are at the top of Trail Ridge Road, which is in the park. It is the highest continuous road, like public highway in the country, highest in elevation. And there's this one overlook that you kind of have to walk up to, and it sort of puts you out over this probably 280-degree panoramic view of all of the mountains and the Front Range, and you're sort of in the middle of it. And we, you know, are inevitably there in August, and because it's so high, it's freezing cold. And this particular picture was no exception. It was taken in 2017, right? Either 2016 or 2017, I can't remember. But it was taken at this overlook, and it was freezing cold, and I'm in my knitwear, and the boys were all freezing, and I have pictures of me on that exact same place with my parents looking freezing in shorts and sweatshirts because it was August, and oh my gosh, it's snowing up here. And so that's a super like vivid memory to me. And so I am going to dye a skein of yarn that is Rocky Mountain National Park inspired, but it's like my memory of Rocky Mountain National Park. So if you want to come on this park passport series with me, then I would love for you to join me. As I said, every installment, every month might be a park, it might be a battlefield, it might be a monument, it might be a birthplace, who knows what it's going to be. But I will always let you know what it is in advance, so that if that place is exciting and interesting to you, then you can certainly travel along with me. I will also do my very best to give you an idea of color inspiration, because I know that that helps you. The other exciting thing is that although this will be a mystery, I will have an option for after you get your skein, if you absolutely love it and you think, oh my gosh, I need 2 more skeins because I've got to make a sweater, or I love this for socks, but I really want this in a DK to make a garment or something like that, I am going to have that option available later. So it's not going to be like last chance. And I think that's really exciting because as fun and awesome as exclusive one-off skeins are, I feel like a lot of people and me are looking to make garments and to make not, you know, everything doesn't need to have a one-off skein in it, or, you know, you just want more possibilities. So I want to give that to you as well. I'm really excited for what this is going to be for this year, and I'm so excited to travel virtually to these places with you, and I hope you join me. I have a couple of skeins that I've been looking at for the last day or so, of some fun, sparkly self-striping yarn that I've been in my stash for several years, and I may be casting one of these on soon. I've got a couple of purse socks that are getting quite close to being done, and if I just, you know, really focused on them, and I'm thinking I need a self-striping, you know, plain vanilla pair to replace one of them afterwards. So maybe it's going to be one of these. This is my sweet friend Cherie, Kirby Werby Yarns, who is dyeing yarn again. She is back. She's better than ever. Amazing colorways. You need to go follow her, Kirby Werby, on Instagram. I will put that link here. This colorway is called Epic. Oh, no, it's on her Epic Bling base, which is a 84% superwash merino, 14% stellina. But this colorway is called Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster, which is an Office Space reference. And this colorway is Nomadic Yarns, which I got in a skein because I did. Because it was an option and it was easier for her and me to store. This is Amortentia, which is a Harry Potter reference, on her Spark sock. And there's just something about sparkly, stripy socks, right? I hope that you all have a lovely week, and I will see you again next week. Bye, y'all.